This episode of MoJo Motivation contains discussions about suicide, mental health, and substance abuse. Please listen with care.
In tackling this project, we're asking the wrong question. It's what happened.
Find a way to live life grateful that you have another day.
You can get through it alone. You have to have people that are solidly in your corner, even when you're being a... You gonna bleep that?
Welcome to MoJo Motivation,
The official podcast of Aim High Consultants.
I am Seema Mojawalla, filling in for my husband and partner, Fahim Mojawalla.
And I'm Marty Johnson.
Because everyone needs a little Mo.
And everyone needs a little Joe. We got it.
So I am filling it.
I love it. Yeah, that's great. You did great, Seema. I love it.
Well, thank
It's the first season. We're still working out the intro. But
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
appreciate that you could pinch hit right now. But Seema is, for our listeners who don't know, the third part, but most important part of our consulting group, Aim High Consultants. So Seema's our rock. She's the reality check between Fahim and I, who are a little bit flighty at times, but Seema's like, she's stable. And
Well,
she's
thank you for the kind words.
Yeah. So glad you could be here today. And it's very appropriate. Our guest today, Joe, has worked with you quite a bit, and you've been an integral part in getting a book of his ready to go so that it could be sold and published.
Yes. So we have a dear friend of ours, Pablo Hurtado, and client. He came in one day and he asked us, hey, I have a request to do. I've been trying to work this out. I've been sitting on this for years. And I have a really close friend that needs help. Are you able to help me out on a project? And I said, sure, what's the project? He's like, well, he has a life memoir that he would like to get published and put into a book format. Can you help with that? So I said, yeah, why don't you have us connected? And then we'll see what we can do. So then I guess Pablo went back, called you up, and then you called me.
Yeah, we had dinner. He came in with a black and white proof that you guys had thrown together. And it was a lifelong dream for me. In a million years, this is never going to happen. It was a bucket list item for me to publish, to tell my story. And he did it. And he gave me you guys' name and just call him. So
Right.
Courtney, who was an assistant, the operations end of this thing, we came in and had several meetings with you.
Oh, yes. We sat probably like about 5 times.
Yeah.
5 meetings that we had going back and forth,
So it
different
was
changes.
it was to take this idea and how are we going to do this? And there was a challenge. I walked in with this thing, and this was actually the memoir, the notes, handwritten. And I gave it to him, and then through a connection, we had to come up with a title for this thing. It's called The Disappearing Man. And I'll get into that in a bit. So it's how are we going to do this stuff? So a collaboration with you guys was, what are we going to do for a cover, and what can we do? Wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And what makes the book unique is it doesn't look like any other book. It does not have a stitched binding by design. It's very raw.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 stories involved here. One is my story. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and the year that shaped me when I was 20 years old was 1968. So The Disappearing Man is me, and then the other story is why this book looks the way it looks, and the approach is to be different. I'm different, and I embrace my differentness. Yeah. And so when they put this together, they came up with this, and it blew me away because it is actually my handwritten notes that are actually the book. So you not only read the words or hear the story, but you see the story, how it develops. And my handwriting changes as I get into some of these difficult moments in telling my story, and my story is about coming back all the way home from Vietnam. And there's also changes and cross-outs and misspelling. Sorry, Mrs. Legursky in English class. I am not a writer. It was not my intention to be Longfellow or prose or anything. It was just for me to tell my story, and for me just being me, and you'll see that. And one of the challenges were I carried this map every day with me for 9 months. And my life in Vietnam happened along Highway 1, which are all these checkpoints. Now, keep in mind, this is before GPS, it's before cell phones, before computers. So how do I integrate this in the book? And somehow these guys did it. And in the construction of the book, to tell my story, we have one of these. So this comes out. So you get to go down the road with me, literally. And this was a challenge and makes this book very, very unique. And the feedback that I've gotten from people that have bought this thing said that I feel like I'm going down the road with you, which was the original intention.
Well, when Seema's on our team, we call her Seema Solves. And if we need a solution, it's Seema. So I have a feeling that you had something to do with the thought of that fold-out thing.
So, when Joe came, we were bouncing around ideas. It was, do we typewrite the whole thing, get it all properly written in text format?
Yeah.
And then we were talking about his emotions and the feelings that he went through while writing the book. And then I just came up with the idea. I was like, well, if it's, that's important.
Yeah.
It's an important part of you. It's an important part of your book that needs to be, that people should be able to hold it and feel it and see what it is.
And the image of the handwriting probably tells more. It tells just as much as the story tells, maybe. So for this podcast season, we have 4 words we chose to kind of focus on. And those are opportunity, generosity, authenticity, and gratitude. And Joe, you and I were talking a little bit before this, and you told me some of your story, which I hope you'll share with our listeners a little bit, not only about being in Vietnam, what you experienced, but the challenges you had when you came home and what has helped you to find yourself and come home all the way. But I think authenticity is really where it comes from. So if I'm not mistaken, you had to really find your authentic, what was really going on there. And then in sharing that, you were able to start healing a little more.
The whole book is a story of healing.
Yeah.
Just a quick review. I'm 78 years old, and I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2002. I didn't come all the way home.
Yeah.
I felt like I never fit in. It led to a whole bunch of challenges. For years, people kept asking me, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" And after in tackling this project, we're asking the wrong question. It's what happened to you.
Yeah.
Now, what happened to me is unique to me, but a lot of other folks, and not necessarily military or veterans, are going through the same challenges. Mm-hmm. It's not what's wrong with you; it's what happened to you.
Yeah.
And in order to heal, you have to go back to those places, them dark spots where it kind of began, and then you come to terms with it, and you have to let it out. And I've been in counseling at the VA for 24 years, and there are lots of ways to express yourself. I chose to pick up a pen and write about it, but it's possible to do it with painting, with art. Art expresses what words cannot say. Music, photography, anything that will help you let it out. As you know, I don't have a problem expressing myself, but a lot of folks can't say it.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't matter as long as you find a way to let it out. And that was what was with healing with me. This forced me to face my demons, my internal demons, and to go there. And when I wrote about them, I just felt lighter and better, and it felt so good about it. I felt like I came home and I'm beginning to fit in.
Yeah.
And I was showing people or telling people via my words stuff that I had hidden for 50 years, whatever it was. And that weight is now off my shoulders. These guys helped me to tell the story, because my story is interesting to me, but I found out in the book and talking to other veterans, be it other Vietnam guys. I know two kids younger than me that were in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they said the fact that I was able to tell my story encouraged them to tell theirs because they've been sitting on it. Yeah. And it's important to go to it first so you don't suffer all these years. Just tell your story.
Yeah, yeah. And then that helps you. I'm not saying you're grateful for the situation or what happened, but I'm a big believer in silver linings. And a silver lining doesn't mean that the situation was good or correct or fair or anything, but a silver lining really means that you are finding a way to make something positive come out of it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And this was what speaks about that tremendously.
Absolutely. And Joe, how has the book helped other people that have been reading it?
That is the silver lining.
Yeah.
Because when I did this, it was just a crapshoot. I didn't care if we just sold one. I was happy, but I was surprised that it connected with other people. The people were buying it and say they're interested in the story. And the feedback I returned back to me was all uplifting about guys who said that I have this story that I've been sitting on. I've been wanting to talk about it, but I was reluctant and I didn't know how to do it. Yeah. And he said, I'm not doing this to praise myself. He said, I seen what you did and I decided to do it too. And it helped me. And that was, Mike and Steve and Gary and a number of other guys that are going through this thing too. And then Greg and other people, it allows them. I don't want anybody to go through and walk in my footsteps from the past to repeat that kind of behavior. I do want them to walk in my footsteps after the book because it's a pathway for me for healing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if you help one person, it's a victory. Well, it's resonating. Yeah. And it's all been by word of mouth and Facebook that it's been spreading, and I couldn't be more delighted. But I'm not a writer, and I'm not Jeff Bezos, so I don't have this network to do all this stuff, which is kind of good in a way because there's more of a personal connection with it. But I would like to offer the opportunity for people to connect with my story to see if it relates to your story, and then please, I encourage you to tell it in any way you can.
Yeah. We were also talking earlier a little bit about substances and things like that. And I have a very close person to me who struggles. And in any 12-step program, I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but the 12th step is becoming a sponsor or a help to someone else. That shows that you've kind of come full circle, is when you can then extend that hand to help someone else in a situation. And that 12th step is often one of the hardest ones to get to, but it really shows, I just think it's very symbolic. And the fact that through this, you are now extending a helping hand to other veterans or others who are dealing with trauma and don't really know how to deal with it. Maybe they're self-medicating. Maybe they're just internalizing so much that they don't really understand the cause of it. They might not even be aware of what the cause is, right? A lot of people, I think, that do have struggles with some things. I know this person in my life, I don't think really knows the cause of it. But I think if
it's trauma. It's trauma. People in different ways. Yeah, and it's really hard to overcome. And help is out there. There are ways to cope with it.
It's a soul injury that you cannot see, and you don't know you have it. Right. Like in my case, and I'm going to speak for the other folks out there who are just sitting there thinking, "Yeah, it's me too," because you just think it's you. Okay, and you're not alone. Mm-hmm. It happens to a lot of people. But in order to get in front of it, you got to understand it. Yeah. And then you have to muster a little bit of courage, do a little inventory and say, okay, what is this stuff? So you have to face your demons, right? I chose to write about it. It was just very therapeutic for me. I have a fountain pen. I have kids who don't even know what a fountain pen is. Yeah. But once you start writing it, I would sit there for, an hour and a half just letting it go because it would all just flow out. Another thing in the book is that I did some sketches on some images that I had seen that I couldn't take pictures of. I'm a photographer and I take pictures everywhere I go, as you guys know. And some of my photos are in this book, but there are sketches I drew of things that happened to me that have been in my head for many, many years, and I would see them at night when I'd close my eyes. And I did them on an iPad with a program called USketch, and I did it with my finger. Yeah. And it was almost like automatic writing. I was just thinking about what was going on, and my hand was going, and I looked down, and there's these images. Wow. And I didn't start out to do this stuff. They just came out. That was in 2012. So I sat on them for all these years. Now, I just realized that these are the words that go along with those images. Yeah. Yeah. So, that story is starting to take a little more depth. Going back to what you say about people that have issues, I do a lot of volunteering work, and I run into a lot of veterans, not only veterans, that suffer with or deal with substance abuse. And it's self-medicating. There's an issue, okay? And you don't know what's happening. You don't understand it. But the first thing you need to know is, number one, you're not alone, okay? And you just don't know how to go about it. I think when you show people a pathway and stuff and give them a little bit of encouragement, they want to get better. Nobody wakes up in the morning and wants to be a drug addict. Nobody. They hate themselves. And everybody's been telling them they're worthless for so long, they begin to believe it. When you give up hope, that's when the train goes off the tracks. And I hope that these words on your paperwork, what you guys did, it gives people hope, okay? Just whatever you're doing, there's a way out. There's a way out. There just really, really is. And the last thing, you don't have to be in the military to be a warrior. Absolutely not. The struggle is real, and everybody who gets through it, and there is a way to get through it. I don't think you can get through it alone. You have to have people that are solidly in your corner, even when you're being a... Going to bleep that?
We might. That's okay.
They're still there for you. Okay, that's important, because nobody goes through this alone. And then there is... when you get there, the sun comes out, the birds start chirping, the unicorns run across the street, and you can start living the rest of your life. I'm 78 years old, so I know I have more time behind me than ahead of me, and my time ahead of me is limited, because life can turn on a dime. We all know about it. But one thing I learned in Vietnam was that and I have survivor guilt. I don't know why I'm here. For some reason, I was given the gift of continued life. Don't waste it. And me sitting here is one day not wasting it. You guys are helping me tell a story.
I'm a cancer survivor. I don't know if Seema knows well, but so I'm in my 13th year now, cancer-free, and I frequently will call them bonus years because it was a beat the odds kind of situation. And I think that is a way to look at things that really changes your perspective. This is, I'm a different person because I look at things in that light. And I'm not stressed over things. It's allowed me to Seema knows me very well, and she might not think I'm the most chill person, but if you knew me before, you would realize how chill I am now. Like, neurotic and chill are different things. But I think that's beautiful. I do also do quite a bit of writing, which has helped me get through my own traumas, which are different than PTSD, which are different than whatever it is, but they're my own, and there are things that are deep within me, just I'm sure you have, and anybody has, that some are public, some are not public.
We all have things that we go through.
And finding a way to acknowledge them, to come to terms with them, to embrace them and say, this happened and today's a new day. And find a way to live life grateful that you have another day. And using that as an opportunity is an amazing thing that not everybody can do.
I think what I realized along the way here is that by facing your demons, inner demons, allowed my better angels to come out. And they definitely helped me. Okay, that's what's driving me to do this. I'm not hiding behind what happened to me before. My cup is definitely half full. And I want to send a message to anybody who just say, give it a shot. Okay, it's overwhelming at first, but when you take the first step, that was always the hardest one. And then there's people that will guide you. Trust the process and give it a go. What do you got to lose? Being happy, return to your quality of life. It's possible. It's possible. It's not hopeless. It's not overwhelming. The game ain't over. Just keep going.
Just having a purpose when you get out of bed in the mornings that will get you out of bed in the morning.
You said the word, now I'm going to go off, because purpose is everything. It's what keeps the train on the tracks. It's a reason for you to get up in the morning. It's a reason to do things other than just sit there and, tick-tock your way into an early grave. No.
Yeah.
Purpose is it.
I love that. Yeah. That's great. Joe, if someone wants to check out your book, purchase it, what's the best way? And we want to, if you could just give your name clearly to our audience, as well as the best place to find you or find the book or connect. What would you prefer?
Right now, because we're not Amazon yet. We're just rolling here.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Facebook, The Disappearing Man, 2 S's. There's a reason for that. I won't go into that now. But
So misspell it on purpose.
yes, we had to misspell it on purpose to keep.
It's good. It's branding.
Yes,
it's branding.
yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
to keep Mark, what's his name up there, happy. Anyways, but contact us on Facebook. Please scroll the timeline. You'll see a lot of people that have purchased a book. Just say, hey, I'm interested in your book. How can I get one? Give me your contact information. We'll get it to you. If you're locally here in Western New York, we deliver it. Otherwise, we've got them in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Colorado, so we can ship them. Price of the book is $50. I know that's a heavy lift, but my words are worth it, and that's not arrogance. That's the real deal. And what you have here, I think, is history. The first 200 books are signed personally by the author, which means they're going to be worth a lot of money when I'm on the other side of the clouds. And but we'll certainly get it to you. And I appreciate feedback. So for right now, we're doing Facebook as a point of contact.
And what we'll do is in our show notes when this episode drops, we will put some links so that people know
that'd be great.
how to get in touch with you.
Phone number, Facebook. handle.
Whatever is appropriate,
Yes.
and ways to get in touch with us. Who can, whatever it is, we'll do our best. And Joe, we talked earlier. My father's a Vietnam era vet. He was never in Vietnam, but he's a naval officer during that time, and he's a couple years older than you. But he, there's a lot of. What's the right word? It's personal to me, like your story, and I am very grateful not only for your service, and I know it was not by any means an easy service, but for what you're doing now to help others try to find a purpose and to heal and to be able to just acknowledge that thing that's eating away that we all have, and whatever it is in different levels, there's something in everyone. And I speak from personal experience. There are things that eat away at you, and sometimes you don't deal with them correctly, and sometimes you end up hurting someone else.
What's going?
And finding a healthy way to acknowledge that so that you can address it.
I think there's another point that needs to be made here. The title "Disappearing Man" is me. Excuse me. It's legacy. How am I going to be remembered? Okay, after I'm gone, my words are going to be forgotten. The World War II guys, most of them are gone now. Their stories died with them. That's a tragedy.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to know, what did Grandpa do, or what did you do? Or if you're a young man just coming back from deployments, make a record of it.
Yeah.
Because not today, it seems insignificant, but it will be significant later. Yeah. Tell your story, so that you're remembered. And it also makes a record of your service. Nobody's story is insignificant. Okay. Just if anything, do it for yourself and then for your family. I can tell you story after story about after so-and-so dad died or grandpa died, and then they find out, like, we found his ribbons in the attic, and two of them were silver stars. Like, are you kidding me? That's one notch below the Congressional Medal of Honor. They don't give them out for just standing around looking in the air.
Yeah.
Okay? So what did he do? And it's important. Tell your story.
That's wonderful. And another thing that you mentioned earlier, PTSD is nothing new. It was just called something different. You were going through the different wars and what it was called. And would you go through a couple of those before? Because some people think it's a buzzword, it's something new, or it's whatever. No. It is not. It is. No. It's been around since the Trojan War, right? I mean, it's been around since humanity. It's for tens of thousands of years.
It's not a new topic. It's been around. It's part of humanity. It's not a surprise. It's not something a clinician or an academic just thought up.
Yeah.
Odysseus. If you read the Iliad and stuff, and they talk about Odysseus, and as they described his behavior, he had PTSD.
Yeah.
He was generally an unpleasant fellow. He liked to wander. He didn't play well with others. He had his own way of doing stuff, and he didn't care about what anybody thought, right?
Yeah.
So then when you go through the Civil War, it was called Soldier's Heart, that 1,000-yard stare. When you have human-to-human trauma, you don't walk away from that. And anybody thinks, oh, it's all in your head. Yeah, it is. But it's also hardwired in your body, too. Yeah. During World War I, it was called shell shock. During World War II, it was battle fatigue, PTSD. In 1979, it was all in your head. In 1980, it became a confirmed diagnosis, post-traumatic stress disorder. And then now coming back to the kids coming back from the sandbox, they're having PTSD, and then they're also dealing with burn pits and depleted uranium and TBIs and stuff. It keeps around here. So it's going to be around a long time, and we can minimize a lot of grief and heartache and stuff on people if we first understand it. And don't get me wrong, my friends at the VA have helped me immensely, but they're kind of a little behind the curve in dealing with this stuff. And on camera, they won't admit it, but off camera, they're all going to nod their heads and stuff, because the way we're dealing with it right now is with talk therapy and pharmaceuticals. So when they carpet bomb you with benzo, and everybody out there who's on them are going to say, oh yeah, what do you want? Klonopin. Okay, there's other ways of doing this stuff. I'm not saying this is a cure for PTSD, but I'm saying let's put as many tools in the toolbox as we can to help deal with this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing here. And I think one of the things we haven't been doing is we haven't been talking about it because it's taboo. We don't talk about that. It's trauma stuff. No, it's okay to talk about it. That's how we get. It's important to talk about it, and we have to change the narrative instead of hiding about it. Go ahead and talk about it and stuff. People will understand you. For me, personally, because of what happened to me on the 25th, the last Wednesday of 1968, which happened to be Christmas Day, I did not enjoy Christmas until last year was the first time I put up a Christmas tree for me, because it was attached to such negative memories. I was an unpleasant fellow to be around. And then I knew I was affecting other people, so I would withdraw. And I didn't want to, piss on Christmas for anybody, but that's what happened. And I was, was just an idiot. But now I know why it happened and stuff. So granted, my Christmas tree was 3.5 feet tall, but it was out there.
It's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
And I didn't do that for a while. And so I did. So now I'm able to embrace Christmas in the spirit of it and stuff. And it's not all about me. It's let's live life, and whatever time you got left, just enjoy it, and you don't suffer. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Previously, Joe, you had mentioned that you were working on a project with Courtney, who was unable to be here today
Right.
because of her not feeling well. Something as a transition for veterans that are coming back.
It's Courtney's program.
Okay, it's Courtney's.
Yes, it's a project called Shellback, and homeless veteran issues are very, very near and dear to us. Me too. Just to rewind, there is no reason for a veteran to be homeless today with all the resources that are out there, unless they choose to be. They choose to be. Now, that's going to be a shock to some people, and I know this for a fact because Courtney and we went out in the field and we interviewed people that were homeless. Why? And 90% of the guys that will come back said they didn't feel safe. Okay, wherever they were. It's tied to a substance abuse issue because they're dealing with some pain in their head that they can't understand, and they self-medicate. So they isolate, which is not good, and then they kind of withdraw from society. I've talked to a guy with one leg. He said he felt safer on the back of a bus, riding the bus all back and forth all night long in cold weather, so he didn't have to be around people or under a bridge because he felt safe. So our approach was this. Instead, there's a lot of people out there that are helping veterans, and they're throwing all kinds of money at it. But if you take a veteran off the street and you take him into veteran housing, and like in the city, and you put him in an apartment building, 4.5 floors of other veterans who are drug addicts and alcoholics, this guy lasted 2 days. He said, I felt safer on the street.
Yeah.
So our approach is this. This is Courtney's idea. And I met Courtney through horses, Veterans and Horse Equine Therapy, which is a really cool thing. But anyways, her vision was this. 5 tiny homes on this spectacular piece of property in the southern tier. And it's not permanent housing. It's to get the guys to come off the street, to come in and get safe, to feel safe, okay? So we have buy-in from the local community, the American Legion, the VFW, the town of Silver Creek said they wanted in. The CBOC, that's the VA clinic in Dunkirk, says we want in on this stuff. And it would be to simply have one of the guys come in and they're evaluated behaviorally and physically. If they got anything going on, we can address them. Then the VA can direct them to the resources that are out there, veteran service officers or whatever programs that are to help these guys. And then get them on their feet. But at the end of the day, if they still choose to be homeless, you can't stop them. You can't help somebody that doesn't want to be helped. Yep. But what we can do is we can make an impact on that overall number and make it smaller.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And the reason the community wanted to buy in, because you have a homeless guy wandering the streets of the village, and then he goes into the Dollar General, and you know he's stuffing his pockets full of stuff. You get in front of all that, you eliminate that. Can you imagine a stop loss that would have a financial impact on Tops Markets or Dollar General if guys didn't have to steal to survive, because they're really, really good at surviving, okay? And we can get in front of all that stuff by just saying, hey, look, we know what the cause of this problem is. Let's direct you to some stuff that will really give you help, okay? And in a lot of cases, I knew one guy's name was Tommy. He didn't know the VA had disability benefits. He didn't know. He didn't know.
Wow.
So, you could be connected where you have all these medical benefits for the rest of your life and you wouldn't take it? I didn't know about it. Now, he's got to go through an administrative or bureaucratic playground of stuff to get connected. Mm-hmm. But that's what we're there for. We'll help you do that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, then we just take that guy off the street so law enforcement doesn't connect with him. You got better things to do. It costs $72,000 to incarcerate one person for 1 year in New York State. Yeah. Give me half that money for this horse program, and we're good to go.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing project that you're working on.
It is.
And it's also like a nice. The goal was to help with the transition after coming back and easing back into the life that they left.
Yeah.
If you can give me a minute, what happens now is they don't decompress you when you get out of the service. Now, in my case, personally, and it's in the book, I came home on February 22nd, I think it was. And then on the 18th of February, I was in the biggest ground attack where I was almost killed, almost a POW. It was a source of my major league trauma. And 4 days later, I'm on my parents' porch drinking a Pepsi and everybody asking me why I'm so quiet, what's wrong with me? And I'm thinking, hell, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. And what happens in a traumatic situation is that, for me, I just describe it, is that when something happens, it is so intense, the fear is off the chart. There are no words that can comprehend it. A firefight, we're in the process of being overrun, and it stops. Then it stops. And what follows is a couple of minutes of this incredible silence. We can hear your heart pumping. You can hear the blood pumping through your head. And that's a void, like an explosion where all the air gets pushed out, and there's a vacuum. And then all of a sudden, it all comes running back, and your mind can't comprehend it all because there's all this stuff. It just comes past you, and then what? And and then in service, go. You don't get a chance to deal with it until years later. So I'm on my parents' porch just trying to think, what the hell's going on? Mm-hmm. And then you come back home. I'm in a structured military environment where you count on each other, and there's literal teamwork, and we coordinate so well. And out here, everybody's for themselves, and you can't fit in, and you can do that, but you got to do it slowly, and you have to have people understand you and translate to you like, okay, this is the way it works. Let's find out what's going on. Pump the brakes. We'll figure it out. And it's just an enormous challenge. So that's what happened to me in 1968. When the kid's coming back from the sandbox, as I understand it now, what happens is you come in, you're home for about 3 to 5 days or whatever, and then they'll talk to you, and it's presented to you and say, well, you can go through that door and be home with your family in 6 hours, or if you want to talk to the chaplain, you can go over there. Mm. What do you think's happening? So when you sign that piece of paper that says, no, I'm okay, then the VA comes back 20 years later and says, no, you said you're all right. Yeah. Well, no, come on, man, that's wrong. So things are a little out of whack.
Yeah. It's like I was just listening. I know we're really pushing time, but I was just listening to a podcast episode the other day on grief. And it was Anderson Cooper has a podcast on grief, but he was a guest on another podcast and was talking about just what, when you go through it, generally you get 2 or 3 days off for bereavement, and then you go back to work, and you got to get back to work. And you don't have time to really acknowledge the situation or really come to terms. And sometimes it's years or decades later when another thing happens that you really start grieving for an old loss. And it's too much to get into right now. But, some of these experiences and some of the trauma, you're not in a place to acknowledge or deal with right away. Or fully, you just, whether you're forced to or you choose to, keep going and go on to the next thing. But it will come up.
Yes. It resurfaces years later.
Yeah, you can't bury it.
When you sit down, when you get a chance to sit down, when you get a chance to sit down and think about it, it'll just resurface, and then all of a sudden you're like, where did this come from?
And then you realize so many behaviors that have happened over the years may be due to that trigger.
And grief is it's a subject that, one of the reasons why Courtney's involved in this thing was grief. And she's processing the stuff. And there's no handbook. There's no manual on how to deal with it and stuff. But one of the things we found is when you have someone who passed, you tend to wall them off, just block it, because it's associated with bad memories. But if you go back there and think about the good memories and stuff and put a positive light on it, and then live the rest of your life in their memory, doing good, not just duplicate what they're doing, okay? And set the example for the next person. Grief is a difficult subject, just like suicide. Veteran suicide, 22 a day commit suicide. We don't talk about it. We know why it happens. Hopelessness. You don't have a reason to get up in the morning, you don't. So how do you do that? Horses was one. Dogs are another one. Purpose.
Art,
Right.
writing,
Music.
journaling, music, all those things. One thing that was on that podcast, he was mentioning very public figure, travels in airports, and people stop him and now that he has this podcast on grief, tell him stories about grief. And he says he just listens. And rather than saying, oh, how did they die? Or all that, going back to the traumatic moment, say, well, how did you meet your husband? Going back to a positive moment and bringing more light back into feeling like they can touch that person again.
and
that was healing. I thought that was a nice way to look at something.
Yeah. I had this one lady, she came in after her husband passed away, and she bought a book that, it's a journal. It's a guided journal. Yeah. And it was about love. And she started filling it out after he passed away. It was just a step by step. How you met, what do you enjoy eating, what do you enjoy doing together.
What I've learned along the way is we talk about suicide, because unfortunately, I'm familiar with it. Yeah. I don't know what to say. Well, you don't have to say anything. You have to listen. Yes. And that's, they're looking for an outlet. Just listen. For myself, I journal. I think I have 17 of them going back a number of years, and I still write a daily note when I get around to it to mother and father, because I miss them terribly. Mm-hmm. So I let them know what's going on. Oh, it's cold. It's 15 degrees. It's snowing. Oh, my battery died. God damn it. Sorry. Yeah. And it's just little anecdotes with them, and I know they read them. Yeah. I know they read them because I'll ask for a sign and I'll get one. And but it does help you lighten the burden, because they are not gone. I choose to believe they're not. They're not with me right here, but they are around.
They're with you right here.
And they do read the words, and they feel them. So that's my story.
Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Touched. Yeah.
We missed Courtney.
Yeah. I'll get her here.
Well, yes. Looking forward to having her next time.
Absolutely. Appreciate you being here, and
thank you.
We will be seeing you soon.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Hey, guys.
If you or a loved one are struggling with mental health issues, thoughts of suicide, and need some resources, please visit spotify.com/resources. If you're a veteran, visit va.gov and search mental health resources. MoJo Motivation is the official podcast of Aim High Consultants. Your co-hosts are Fahim Mojawalla and Marty Johnson. Special thanks to Seema Mojawalla and our producer, Ryan McCarthy. Learn more at mojomotivation.com or aimhigh.com. That's AYMHIGH.com.